Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jared Rand. Welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Friday, February 21, 2025, after 3:15 p.m. Eastern. We're having a time for change call and all the rest tonight, or not a time for, a reverse aging health call and all the rest after 9:15 p.m. Eastern. And we're going to talk about money and a lot of things. When we have our relationship with things, I don't think we really spend much time kind of kicking back and looking at, how we relate to different things, such as this civilization has been raised for generations in a false pretense of lack, not enough. If you can see it as you watch, as you're a watcher and observer of this planet and the people, you can see it everywhere. You can see that what that has created in this civilization, the species. The fear that it breeds, the lack of, see? Well, we're going to run out of this, we're going to run out of that, what are we going to do? We're getting low on water, we're getting low on oil, we're getting low on all these things, what are we going to do? And it stresses a lot of people out. Now, it's a lie, it's a deceit, it's a deception. But yet, if you've been conditioned for, many years, generations, that this is the truth, what are you going to do? You're going to believe that. You grew up believing it. When you reach adulthood, you believe it. You get worried about it. And then when they talk about this and they say that we don't have enough, we're running out of this, well, the response with these emotional containers that we're in is worry, stress, and fear, and anxiety, and what are we going to do? Or, there's not going to be enough power. There's, water's going to be thin. All these things. And the opposite is the truth. We have an overabundance of everything on this planet. We always have had. Do you think that we're the only real civilization that's been here? There have been many before us. One might say, what happened to them? Well, what they do is they bury any sign of the previous civilization. There are cities on this planet that are built on top of cities, on top of cities, on top of cities. Why is that? So that you don't have any reference to anything. So you're left with your imagination. What would happen if we were able to undo that conditioning of the people of planet Earth, where they realized and knew that everything was abundant? Right? Now, would we look at it from the perspective or standpoint that we would take care of it better? Or would we abuse it more? If you're ego-minded in most cases, you would abuse it more. You would take it for granted more. If you're more heart-minded, you would respect it more. It's like when we respect ourselves genuinely, through heart-mindedness, through meditation, we then respect everything around us, and we then respect everyone else. But when we don't respect ourselves, and we have a twisted perspective of ourselves, then we're not going to respect much of anything else, such as life. In our civilization, there is a parent in your face where we kill each other for stupid stuff. right? Now, you can you have a being that becomes offended, irritated, angry, and then does harm to another, which is they're doing harm to themselves. Why is that? Because they don't have any deep respect or deep eternal love for themselves. That's it right there. So they express that on how they are, on how they interact with others. That's it. It's not you. Never has it been anyone outside of them. It's always about them. This is how you can tell. You're not judging. You just pick it up. You say, well, they're very aggressive or abrasive. I understand why. This is what a lot of people do. They can't figure out why are they so barky, right? But then you look at it from a different angle, and you begin to realize that they are very unsettled within. They do not like themselves. They don't love themselves. They don't respect themselves. And this could have happened in any way, any form. But it's happened, and they carry it with them. So they don't make peace with themselves. They don't forgive themselves. They don't realize how omnipotently important they are to this universe. They don't. Remember that one of us, just one of us, have the ability and the power to influence millions. And you heard me right, millions. It's proven fact, absolutely proven fact. One of us can influence millions. Now, if that one, think about this, if that one does not respect themselves, does not have a deep eternal love for themselves, is mostly ego-minded, we've seen what happens on this planet when that's the case. Now, when one is highly respectful for oneself, deeply loving of oneself, then, well, we haven't really witnessed that, but we are beginning to see the difference between the two. And this is why you hear me say all the time, it's all about you. And all about you means to go within and to embrace all of it and let it go. All of it. All the stuff that you've been carrying. All the stuff that you don't care to interact with. Stuff that you just say, hey, I'm just not going there. Right? We all do that. None of us are exempt from it. But it is where you go within and you just clean house. And your sense of being, after you do that, is massively different on a much higher frequency, and you're much more at peace. It's like, if you look at, on this planet, let's say you look at money, and you look at money as the root of all evil, because it seems that all the evil, pure evil ones and greedy and manipulative and dishonest ones have all the money. So you equate that as being, well, then money's the root of all evil, which is, it's the opposite. The people are the root of all evil, not the money. See? It's like, who is evil who wields a weapon to do harm to another one? Is it the weapon that's evil? No, the weapon is inanimate. It doesn't, it's inert. You know? It isn't alive. Doesn't walk around and laugh and smile. So it is the being who handles such weapon in the wrong way that does harm to others. It's always the people. It isn't anything else. It's the people who wield whatever it may be. They wield words at others. It cause others to become upset, irritated. They know it because they sense it, so they do it. Right? And then there's others that lie, cheat, steal, and are deceptive and manipulate others. But they're actually doing it to themselves. Because eventually, as we see, and we have seen throughout the ages, it comes back in full view. It's like this civilization is witnessing all the evil that's been done to them for eons. All of it. It's all being exposed. All of it. And as watchers, that's why I always suggest to watch it. Don't step in it. Now, we've all stepped in it. And so we do get lost because it's so much stuff bleeding out there that you can't even wade through it. You know, you got those when you go fishing. You know, the wading, the rubber pants and bib, and so you don't get wet, right? But yet, water's the crap is so high that it goes within. It gets you all soaking wet, globbed up. And this is why I'm constantly repeating, focus on what you want, not what you don't want. It's huge. It's a huge shift. And it isn't easy for a lot of people to do that. I'm not saying it is. For others, it's more common for them that they gravitate to focusing on what they want. They're not obsessed. Okay. They just focus and put it out to the universe. This is what I want. Without being embarrassed, without feeling guilty, without feeling uncomfortable. But, you know, those are all ego mind influences. But feeling at ease. Every one of us deserves the best of everything at all times, period. That's it. For goodness sakes, we are pure, eternal, love, light, energy in these in these bodies. We are gods. We are the kingdom of God. We are the heaven. Why wouldn't we have everything we desired? Why wouldn't we? We would. But see, when we're in these emotional containers, these bodies, we get seduced, we get misdirected, because we follow outside influences and we follow the ego mind. So you can change within that quick of a time where you shift your attention knowingly. You knowingly shift your attention in heart through heart mind, not ego mind. So you leave the ego mind alone. You shift your attention to what? What you want. You focus on what you want every day. It's like I said. It's not obsessing, right? You just focus on it because you have faith, confidence, and trust 100% in yourself and this universe. You're never doubting. You don't doubt. Doubt does not exist. Doubt is predicated on what? Fear. Fear comes from what? An insecure ego mind. It doesn't come from you. You see, it does not come from you. So when this happens, well, we all know, right? We get to focusing. We slip into it. We aren't even aware of it. We slip into focusing on what we don't want. Now, I've listened. I was in a confidential conference last night, and I listened to this gentleman. How many times he said, "We don't want, I don't want." Must have been 100 times. It was unreal. Don't want, 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 don't want. And it was a variety of statements. And see, that's danger, because when you're talking with somebody, and remember, you're listening. The art of relationships is listening, being a really good listener, not someone who's faking it, right? And is just wandering off somewhere else while someone is talking with you. It's where you listen. You learn more about them than you'll ever learn with you talking and them listening. So when you watch things and you begin to comprehend them, and you realize that you become aware of that. How many times you say that, that's going out to the universe, and it will attract exactly what you do not want to have happen. It will happen. And I'm listening to these conversations a lot, and I hear this over and over again in many conversations, many communications. People are not aware of it. It's not like I'm going to do this on purpose. They just do it. And then they wonder why things happen the way they do. The buck stops with you on this planet, in this universe, this galaxy, way beyond all the connecting, interlinking universes. It's the buck stops with you. You decide what life you're going to have. You really do. You create it moment to moment to moment. Nobody else does. You don't have enemies until you create those enemies. That's the truth, too. How do you think wars become wars, conflicts? Well, you convince both sides that each side is bad, that they're evil and they need to be destroyed. You convince each side. You convince each military on each side that those guys are bad and we've got to get rid of them. And the guys that you think that about and gals, then they turn around and say the same about you. Now you have no clue if that's true. You just go by what your leaders tell you. And so you go out and you harm each other. And every time we do that, we're fighting ourselves. Because you always view the aftermath throughout the ages of this planet and all the civilizations. It's the aftermath. It's the side effects of it, of those actions. Why do you believe that so many men and women in the military have PTSD, post-traumatic stress or syndrome? Why do they have that? It's not a natural state of being to harm each other. Why don't we pick up on that? Okay? It isn't. It isn't a natural state of being. This is why it's so disruptive to us. And again, these bodies are highly emotional, remember. So they're very sensitive, hypersensitive. So when we do those things, based upon how we're programmed, it affects us. One of the results is PTSD. And people have been having that for generations. Just wasn't labeled yet. Whenever you do something and you have a deep effect on yourself, right, it isn't your natural state of being. It's out of context. It doesn't flow with you. It's very abrasive for you. It's very disturbing for you. It's very upsetting for you. That's why some people will carry things throughout their whole lifetime. Never let it go because it was so detrimental to them at that time. And they carry that pain throughout their lives. And it affects everything they do. It affects their entire perspective and their outlook on themselves and their life. When it should be forgiven, embraced, loved, and let go of. We, as a civilization, and I emphasize this, we are on a massive spiritual evolution. It isn't a technological evolution. It isn't a wealth evolution. It isn't a personality evolution. It isn't ego-mind evolution. It is a heart-minded evolution of spirituality. In other words, a discovery that every one of us are gods in these bodies, without a question of a doubt at all. Absolute fact. We are pure consciousness. But to be able to embrace that and hold it with us and let it go, we then move in our natural state of being, which is deep eternal love for oneself and all things. That's our natural state of being. Now, when you're watching everything on this planet, right, and you're not judging it, you're just watching. You don't have any comments or anything. You're just watching things. And you see a lot of stuff. And why are we watchers? Because we learn so much from everyone else, from everything. We learn. That's why we watch. You know, it's interesting that, you know, people sometimes ask, how did martial arts, right, come into being? Well, in the beginning, the teachers would go out and they would watch nature. They would watch the animals. They would watch how they would defend themselves in situations, how they would strike at each other for territorial prowess. And they would write it all down and draw it all out. And that was the root discovery of martial arts on this planet. So they learned from nature and the life forces of nature, and they incorporated it into humanity. So this is why we watch. We watch because we learn. Doesn't it make sense that instead of being in it, instead of being in the forest, you're outside of the forest? Now, in the forest, sure, you can still learn, but on a very nominal level. But when you step outside the forest and you see the trees and the forest, you learn so much more. It's like this huge playground where you are learning from everything you watch and see. And you're taking it in. We do better as a species, okay? When you watch something, okay, or you have pictures, and the pictures are showing you a process. I mean, very exact, very detailed. And so you look at these pictures, and before long you know how to do what in those pictures was being done. That's phenomenal. We take that for granted. But that's what happens. What we watch, what do you think children do? They copy. They watch the adult doing something. It's like Dad could be in front of the mirror in the bathroom shaving. So the child starts to pretend that they're shaving. See? Children will watch large people. Because as kids, we look at adults and they're so big to us when we're little kids. They're big. Their hands, everything. So we copy each other. This is how we learn how to do things. It isn't from books, as many would believe. It's actually watching others do things that we would want to do, but we don't know how to do them, so we watch other people do them so we can do them. That's what we do. You could sit and watch. Let's just say you've not ever flown a plane. I don't care if it's a jet or prop. So what you do is you watch others fly that plane. You watch them go through the checklist. You watch them communicate. You watch the dash. You see all the instruments. You know what they're, and you watch that enough, you will be able to fly that plane. You see, we, on this planet, we have been trained to learn from words, descriptions, not pictures. We've been kept away from pictures because our brains, they evaluate what you're watching, what you're seeing, and you're able to copy that. We copy each other. It doesn't mean, well, I'm going to go copy that being over there. Not like that. We're not aware of it. We just do it. We copy each other. It's like if you see a being, someone who has a coat or something that you really like that coat, you know, it looks really warm and everything. It looks nice on them. So you say, I'm going to get one of those coats. It looks really warm. It looks very comfortable. That's what I want. I want to get one of those coats. So you get one of those coats. And sure enough, it's warm, it's comfortable. It feels really good on. And you like the style, right? This is how we operate, and we really don't realize it. We watch each other do things, and we learn from each other in our everyday lives, and we never stop learning. And we watch things, and it's like children. You watch things, and that's how you learn how to do them. You're being shown how to do it. Not from, how many times have you had instructions for something, right? You were going to put something together, you order it, you get it. And you look at the instructions for the most part, and you go, you got to be kidding me. And they had all these nuts and bolts laid out and labeled and all this stuff. And all you would like to see is a video of someone putting it together so you could put it together. It's much easier for us as a civilization. We respond much quicker through visual than we do what? Writing or reading a book or instructions. We watch someone else do it, and then we do it. And then one might say, well, how do you know that? Well, look at children. Do you think the child is gone out of every one of us? No, it's still there, fully accounted for. You could watch somebody change the spark plugs on an engine, right? Now, you have no mechanical awareness yet. Do you watch them do that enough? Okay. You'll be able to do it. It's phenomenal. And we take that for granted. This is why, you see, this is why so many people on this planet have been taught the wrong way. All wrong. That's why physics on this planet is all wrong. You have to just throw it away. We learn by watching each other. And we do it very well. And we always have done it very well, and we always will do it very well. We learn by watching others do things. We end up doing them. Now, when I played sports for years, when I played football, we were shown how to do things. We didn't, we had playbooks, okay? But we had to copy those playbooks, the alignment, the plays. We would have to practice those plays outwardly, okay? Watching each other's function and what our responsibilities were in that play. So you didn't take a playbook into the huddle with you. The coach had the playbook. So we were taught by watching how that play works. we would walk through the plays, not run, okay? So we would have our formation, and then we would walk through the plays in slow motion. And by doing that, that's how we learned to execute those plays in a game. We didn't have a playbook wrapped on our arm. You know, figures and stuff. We were shown how to do it. How many times have you been in a situation where you're shown how to do something, and it may take a bit, it may not be right away, but you learn from it, and you end up doing it. And you say to yourself, wow, this is wild. I never thought I could do this, but after watching you enough, I can do it now. You say, absolutely. When we're shown how to do something, and we watch others do it, we then are able to do it. That's how this civilization was supposed to be guided. Instead, we have all this fracturedness from perspectives and attitudes and ideas that just don't seem to fit. So as you're in a comfortable position with no outside distraction, and you're focused on relaxing into the body, and your breath rising and falling, and focus on this one thing. There are no limitations. I have no limitations other than those I put on myself. And anything is possible. I have no limitations other than the ones I put on myself, and anything is possible. And what's been done can be undone. I join you in meditation. I'll return to close us out. Take an easy and slow breath in through the nose, and an easy and slow breath out from the mouth. Remain still, relaxed into your body. Focus on your breath rising and falling. The greatest spiritual energy in this entire universe is inside you, right here and now. There is nothing you can do to diminish, taint, or change this ever-present spiritual consciousness that is flowing through you. For today, imagine you have the volume control on the knowingness that you are this eternal spiritual energy. Turn up your knowingness as high as it will go. What does that feel like to know without any doubt that you are the most powerful, indestructible, eternal, infinite energy in this entire universe? Practice knowing this divine presence is you all day today. Initiate and integrate this knowingness while you work, eat, drive, play, and engage in conversation with others. Take this with you for the rest of the day, into the evening and night and the following morning. And we will return here tonight, Friday, February 21, after 9:15 p.m. Eastern, to continue our reverse aging health call and all the rest. And Saturday, February 22, 2025, after 3:15 p.m. Eastern, to continue our global guided meditation call. Be gentle, kind, generous, humble with yourself at all times. Be in the highest of the highest high, deepest of the deepest deepest, purest of the purest purest, eternal gratitude at all times. No matter what's happening outside of you or inside of you. Open your heart and allow the magic to flow in.